Welcome back to the This Nairobi podcast, where we interview the city's hottest creatives and tastemakers. This Nairobi is an English language digital magazine with a focus on news, events, travel, fashion, and nightlife in and around Nairobi. If you are a Black content creator, you know how much of a struggle it is to find images of Afro-descendant people doing anything. Don't believe me? Google Black woman doing hair or hair threading and see how many royalty-free images you find. I'll save you the time, very few. And I know how crazy it sounds. We live in Africa, but access to images that represent the authentic and modern Afrocentric experience is limited. Why is it like this, and what is being done to address this melanin deficient crisis? To answer these questions, we hopped on a call with Susan Guya. Guya handles content development at Picha, a revolutionary platform that specializes in royalty-free Afrocentric stock photography. You're listening to the second episode. I'm your host, Alexandria Tsahai Williams. Let's get started. Guya, let's dive right into it. Why do you think there's such a lack of diversity in stock images?
So when I saw this question, I was like, it's kind of like the open secret. So we're aware of, the circumstances that led to, what his history is right now. The victors get to tell the story. So, if you're not the victor, there's not really that much being said. And there has also been a domination in terms of what the narrative has been of Africa. So we have, notoriously not been able to tell our story. It's always been from, an observer point of view. And this is in film, this is in photography, this is in, storybooks, it's everywhere.
Right.
You find very few people know African authors. You find very few people know, even in the diaspora, people don't know, or didn't know how Africa looks like. They think everyone's living in a bush. So I think, first of all, because of the systematic oppression, and also I think it's a cluster of circumstances that led to it, or led to a point where there's no diversity because there's only one person or one group of people who have been telling the story, and they of course want to tell their story. So I think the more that platforms like Feature Stock are coming up, it's becoming easier for people to realize that, my first superhero was Superman, a white man. Or growing up, my dolls were like white, or like I had a Barbie. I didn't have like an African doll, or like a black doll, or a brown doll. So starting to question those things and realizing that, okay, I'm underrepresented. I want to tell my story. I want to share what I've been going through in my journey, and that creates more awareness and understanding around different topics. So I think the reason why there's such a lack of diversity is because of just platforms and awareness, for people to know that, there's value in their stories. You don't always have to be picking from what, like the West tells you, or other people have told you. You can share your story and share your visuals, and that in itself adds to the diversity.
And what do you think the consequences of this lack of diversity are?
So I was watching this interview some time back about this lady in Japan. And so she's an advocate, and she's been practicing in Japan for like her whole life, or most of her life now. And one of the main reasons why she was able to get the opportunities that she got, because she ended up working for the military, and that's how she got access to like travel to Japan. And then she kind of went back to practice and help the community there. So the main reason why she was able to do that was because she saw another Black woman graduating. I don't know if she was a nurse or a lawyer. So she basically saw this Black woman graduate and do these things, and that inspired her to go and like look for these opportunities, and like just put herself out there and like be able to make the most of her life, which she was able to do. And like I thought about that, and I was like, she never even talked to this lady. It's like seeing someone who looks like you being able to do something, and that inspires you. The world record hadn't been like broken for like eons, and then Bolt comes around and then he breaks it, and then after him other people are breaking it. So there's something about being able to see yourself represented in industries, in film, in photography, in music, that inspires other people and even yourself to achieve and to, broaden perspectives.
Now, my next question is, one of Pitch Stock's taglines is modern Afrocentric stories. What is the modern Afrocentric story? What does it look like?
There are two scenarios for this.
Okay.
One is there's traditional Africa, which is the customs, which is the attire, which is our stories and our the communities and the generational wealth that we pass down to the younger generations and the younger people, for them to kind of take it through the years. And that's in that's in like native tongue, that's in hair, it's in a lot of things. And then there's going through certain experiences and how that changes you and how that influences how you move forward. So ideas such as Afrofuturism come from like a modern kind of aesthetic. So what is Africa in 2050? What is it to be African in 2030? Yes, you have your roots and you have your traditions and you have your story, but you also are aware of like TikTok and Instagram and technology. So how do those things integrate and create like this modern view or modern perspective of what the African is, or a Black person is? Because you are influenced by your circumstances and your environment, but it doesn't have to proliferate your your roots or your grounding or your foundation. So it's more about the cohesive nature of evolution and or times the environment. So depending on how things are changing, you're able to adapt but not lose your luster or lose what makes you you.
On the subject of modern Afrocentric stories, in foreign media, Kenya is often represented as like one big safari. And while the natural landscape of Kenya is beautiful and worthy of so much praise, this characterization of an entire country as one thing is quite limiting. Kenya has this element of being traditional and natural, but also modern and fast paced. So, knowing this, how do creatives at Pitchastock work to broaden the image of what Kenya looks like while also upholding the value of tradition?
A perfect example that I can give is the briefs that we share with our contributors. So what we do is, depending on what content needs are kind of in that particular year, we'll share briefs with contributors, and then they can shoot according to that. And then most of them are regional. So for example, we had a brief on digital banking, and case in point, Kenya created M-Pesa. Shout out to Kenya for just being awesome. Created M-Pesa, and that is its own version of because when you think about digital banking, you think, oh, okay, my computer, or maybe on my phone, but like M-Pesa kind of redefined that. So have share the brief with the contributors, have them shoot someone maybe sending money or getting money from an M-Pesa agent. So also break down and localize what that means. And I think that's really important when you get a brief is we all take breakfast in Africa, but what does breakfast look like in Kenya? What does breakfast look like in Ghana? What does breakfast look like in South Africa? And you already have diversity in that because it's not the same.
That's a really cool way to make sure that everyone is on the same page and maintaining their creativity. Next, let's talk about visual activists. It's something that's featured on the website, and I wanted us to explore it a bit more in our conversation.
So a visual activist is someone who is willing to share their story and be a part of history, and also believes in the power of narrative. And two, visual activist is a corporate social responsibility project and or campaign like that Picha decided to create because of the conversation and the feedback that we were getting from even the onset of when Picha started. So the conversation was always so primarily Picha seeks to change the narrative. And through diversity and honest representation, showcase a more positive reflection of Africa, of Black communities all over. So as we were getting into conversation with contributors, with creatives, with agencies, that was the, oh, I didn't know this. You would tell someone about like, Togo and Ghana and like, independence and like, just touch on a few facts, like historical facts. And someone would be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's really interesting. And and then, it would then get to a point where, it's like almost limiting because some of the contributors are newer, others are professional photographers, others are, it's like a hobby that they're doing. But to explore the why of you doing something is very important and pivotal because it really changes how you create. So, for example, the other day I was reading about how breakfast was a marketing campaign created. I don't remember which year. So there's no such thing as, like you need to have breakfast. Like it's so funny how like these things have just been spun to us that we are just every moment we're flipping. So when you understand and you're like, you have a foundation in terms of the information that you have, especially when it comes to your own region and your roots and your culture, it really, really adds a rich layer to everything that you create because you have a why, your why. And, you move away from because there's a lot of like commercial stuff, like, especially in Kenya, like people always looking for, I've got to make some money, I need to pay my bills. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But when you look at the people making waves, it's because of their personal projects. It's because of things that they weren't being paid to do. You have people who are telling stories about Kenya, people telling stories about Africa, and that's why they're kind of, making a mark and being seen and being distinguished. Which is still okay to make your money, but I think there's also the line between, and especially for visual activists, it's to be able to tell your story and to say, demystify some of these stereotypes and some of these, negative narratives that have been spun for so long, and to also take part in changing, that, negative to positive. Also, like empowering yourself. So it's also giving people a sense of agency that, I've been seeing these things in the news, but hey, this is not how it is, like this is how it is. So visual activist is a platform. It's a visual archive, basically, of stories and real stories from like Afrocentric people.
Winding down now, how can people that are listening to this podcast purchase the images that Picha Stock is producing?
So when you go to www.pichastock.com, you will be able to visit the website and
Mhm.
check out the images. You gotta try before you buy, so make sure you have a nice little look. And if you see something you like, just click on the image and the pricing and relevant information should come up, and you can kind of take it from there. The website is very user friendly. So you can get everything on the website. In case you have any questions, you can send an email to info@pichastock.com and you will be assisted.
And what's next for Pitcha Stock? What's going on in 2021?
Yo, it's mad. 2021. Like, I'm so gassed. I don't even know. Like, it's kind of like when, I don't know, like when a new song is about to like come out and like the producer and the artist are like, they don't even know. They don't even know. So yeah, like, especially for next year, there's a few image collections that are coming out that we are really excited about. Collections that celebrate women, collections that celebrate Black communities and Africans, and we're looking to make a bit of a splash about it. So yeah.
It's time to end the struggle of finding modern images of Africa. In the digital age, we are no longer forced to rely on representation from large media houses to capture our images and tell our stories. They are now being told from the grassroots, with platforms like Pitcha Stock leading the charge. Thanks for listening to the second episode of the This Nairobi podcast, where you heard from Susan Guya at Pitcha Stock. The next time you're looking for the perfect photo to go with your content, hit up their website and purchase a media package. Also, follow them on Instagram at Pichastock, Pichastock. If you liked this interview, give it a share. We'll be dropping our next episode 2 Wednesdays from now. To find out as soon as it goes live, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at This Nairobi. That's ThisNairobi. Also, check out our website at thisnairobi.com to read all of our awesome articles where we review Nairobi's hottest restaurants, activities, getaways, and offer general tips for living better in the hustle and bustle of the city we all love. We have a ton of things coming up, so stay tuned. You definitely don't want to miss it. I'm your host, Alexandria Tsahai Williams. Chat soon.